Welcome in, race fans, to another edition of In the Dirt. I don't know why that was doing that, but we are coming to you guys live from, I'm out here in Casa Grande, Arizona, where when the sun goes down, it gets colder than a polar bear's ass. It's cold. So we've had two nights of racing out here. We had Tim Fuller win the first night. We'll have him on here in a little bit. We had Don Shaw out of Minnesota win the second night. Billy Moyer, he had a terrible time for whatever reason. Brakes went out. He hits the berm in the middle of 1 and 2, leading the race, about 5 to go. But Tim Fuller was on a rail coming. The Capital cars were fast out here. Shane Clanton broke a rear end last night. He found something on the top side. Of course, Fuller was also on the top side. So the Kennedy Motorsports Capital race cars were pretty impressive to start the season. But without further ado,
man, Webb, it feels weird with me just pushing all these buttons back here.
And Brian, I thank you for taking over. Well, you push the buttons most of the time.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Did you ever think that you'd be producing one of the most listened to shows in dirt track racing?
Well, actually, Webb, I really thought that I would be the one who would create one of the most interesting shows in dirt tracking history. And
you did. You helped create it.
Yep. Oh, I didn't think I was going to be creating anything on the way here. I literally got in here, well, when me and you talked just a few, 5 minutes ago, I just made it in.
So you had some trouble?
Well, I've been having some trouble. You know, I'm out on the road all day. I go to my last stop, sign my paperwork, get my pay, head on out to the van, hit the start key. Nope, nothing.
Not
Dead.
So much.
Starter went out. So I was a little bit away from home and didn't have a clue of how I was going to handle any of it.
Well, we've had two pretty good nights of racing out here in Arizona. Like I said in the intro, Tim Fuller, who was class of field the first night, and he nearly come back last night. Clanton, I mean, the Capitals were on a rail out here, and nobody can deny that. As I'm sitting here looking, now we got several guests lined up here at the house. There's a house here in Casa Grande that the Dirt on Dirt pay-per-view crew was staying at. I got D Suave. He is a Notre Dame fan, decked out in his Notre Dame stuff. I'm an Alabama fan. I'm decked out in my Alabama stuff, but I've been gracious enough to invite my bro on the show tonight, so we'll be talking to him in a few minutes. At 10 after, we're going to have Ross Martin. He is the champion, the Ice Bowl champion. Now listen to this, Brian. He won the Ice Bowl on a 4-year-old CT 525 crate motor. We'll have it.
Ooh. 4-year-old motor.
4-year-old motor now.
And one at Talladega. Against the Supers.
Yes, and had to pass to win. It wasn't like he was out front, just qualified up front. He had to pass to have the win.
Ooh. Well, that's interesting.
And
I'm curious.
And it coincides with a certain announcement from, well, you know who I work for.
Yeah, I get accused of working for Neesmith as well here lately. But everybody,
do you really?
Everybody, if you do listen to the show, I do not work for Neesmith. Not that I wouldn't.
Not that you wouldn't.
What?
Not that you wouldn't. I mean, if we could find you a position and get you down here.
Yeah, and not that I would not go and work for Neesmith, but no, I'm not affiliated with Neesmith in any way. I mean, I talked to some of the people, and I talked to the people from Neesmith to the extent of me talking to them on this show.
Yeah. Well, so what are some of the things that you hear that include you and Neesmith? What would be some of the things?
It's just people that make comments about things that don't really understand what the heck they're talking about, Webb.
Well, there's a lot of that in our sport. I mean,
right.
Our sport's laced with people like that.
Right, and it's funny because the people tend to use it like a negative, like they're actually throwing a punch at me, like it's supposed to hurt. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you're against Neesmith, then you're against the survival of racing, because and don't get me wrong, there's a place for open motors, and I get that. There's a place for open motor builders, I get that too. But I'll go back to our buddy C.J. Rayburn that said that there's only 300 people in this country that can afford to race big time racing, but there's 11,700 little guys, and that's not a punch neither. We got to take care of racing. You have to be a steward of racing. If you're in racing, you bear the responsibility of its survival. And if it means having Neesmith sanction a race so you can have 30 cars. There was 5 cars that used to show up at Why Not Motorsports Park in Why Not, Mississippi. 5 supers. They switched over to a crate program. They get 30 crate cars every week, and they're racing for between $600 and $800. That's ensuring the survival of the sport. So whatever you're hearing, they're against racing for whatever reason.
Yeah. So what do you think about this new? There was a little discussion, a Facebook discussion about UMP requiring everyone to be licensed next year.
Licensed how? Like licensed to race within the UMP? Under the umbrella?
Here's what I understand is that if there is a UMP racetrack that I guess gives UMP points. So let's use Moeller Raceway Park as an example, because I know that they give UMP points for the modifieds. You have to buy a UMP license. So if you do not buy a UMP license, you are not going to get points, and you're not supposed to be able to race at the track. And if the racetrack allows you to race without a license, they will pull all of the UMP provisions. So I would say that would be, whatever tire program or any of that stuff, any of the kickbacks that the racetracks get.
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn here, speak beyond my knowledge base, but I do think that there's membership fees and stuff for Neesmith. But it's not entirely a bad thing. Now, pulling somebody, you've got to make concessions for a guy that shows up who may not have. Here's the thing. I wouldn't have a problem with buying a license to race with Neesmith because number one, you're racing with a series that provides a tech service. And if that's all that they are providing, that's more than what I see from UMP. True. I don't know.
So
I think
that's my argument with it. And what and I got criticized for telling everybody if you don't like it, then just don't go and race.
There you go. That's the choice.
That's it. Just don't if you don't want it, just don't go to that racetrack and race. Go somewhere else. There's other racetracks around that are not UMP. And I would ask that people do that. Well, and we've criticized UMP on the show for different things and whatnot, but UMP is been around for a while. It does have a legitimate racing series league, whatever. It does a little bit for racing. So I mean, if they tweak their deal a little bit, it's up to the drivers to either accept it or don't accept it. I'm just wondering how half of those guys are going to pass the drug test. Oh, there's a drug test to get a UMP license. Is that what you're telling me? I don't know either way. Well, I would make the assumption. You're going to have to get a license. We had to pass a drug test when we got our NASCAR license. Well, until we have some concrete evidence that they're going to require a drug test, we probably shouldn't be talking about it until UMP. Well, you're laughing. So are you saying that most of the guys would not pass a drug test? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just laughing that you think there will be a drug test. I don't foresee there being one. But even I will be. I'm thinking that maybe something that will add to our list of things to take to the racetrack will be, the products that people use to pass a drug test with. So if that does happen, We will have all those products for sale at the PGR Motorsports trailer.
So Brian Gray, you're telling me that you're going to go to Victory Lane and be like, he's not the official winner until he pees on this little tab here?
Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying. if that does happen, I'll have the product available in the trailer. You might want to have it in your, that might be something that you should have.
That's good stuff.
Oh.
Well, all right. Well, while we're waiting for Ross Martin to call in, the 2013 Ice Bowl champion, that dude's been racing there for like 25, 30 years, and he finally picks up. That's the biggest race at Talladega Short Track, obviously, being the Ice Bowl. It's kind of, maybe not now the official start of the season, but it kind of used to be. Kind of used to be like the novelty start of the season. It's still Talladega Short Track. It's still a huge race, especially if somebody lives real close. But while we're waiting on Ross Martin to call in, I'm going to introduce to you. We've had this guy on the show before, but he's the intern turned employee at Dirt on Dirt, Mr. Derek Kessinger, affectionately known as D-Suave. D-Suave, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. Played some hoops earlier, getting ready for the national championship. It's going to be a great night.
All right, so now my listeners are well aware that I am from the land of hoops, which is Indiana. I mean, give me a true enough assessment. Now, remember, I do have a bad knee, but give me a true assessment.
I mean, you can take the ball to the basket pretty good. I mean, you're a little step slow, but you're pretty good. But I think Illinois created the March Madness, so we're the land of hoops. I don't know about you. What do you think about Indiana?
He still managed to squeeze in that
March Madness was created in Illinois, so Illinois is the land of hoops. You hear that, folks?
Illinois?
All right.
I thought Indiana was the land of hoops.
Yeah, listen, basketball was born in Massachusetts, but it moved to Indiana to grow up. Are they back here teasing us? Yeah. So anyway, D-Swab, we're out here. Have you been with the Dirt on Dirt for a calendar year yet?
Not officially, not until May, but it's getting close. I mean, I've been interned for a little over a year, but not a full-time employee is yet to be a year.
So here we are. Me and you got to kind of hang out at Cedar Lake. That was like phenomenal. We played making, as you say. Who was the MVP up there at Cedar Lake?
Everybody wants to say Rigsby, but I feel like I'm the glue to the team, so I would say I'm the MVP.
D-Swab is he's the Elmer's glue. So, but this deal at Central Arizona, that was a good racetrack. Was it not a good racetrack?
Heck yeah, for not racing for 5 years, actually had a lot of passing into it. Shaw got the upset the second night, thanks to Moyer's brakes or whatever happened, but Shaw definitely did good, and it was a pretty good weekend. I thought the show went good. It was too bad we couldn't do the mods, but other than that, it was a pretty good show.
Now, Brian, did you get to see any of it from last night or the night before?
No. I kind of skipped out on a bunch of racing to work on mine in the shop, but fill me in.
Well, okay, so first night, Fuller was just like classes field. But last night, like with 5 to go, all of a sudden, like Moyer leading, he's like stretched it out. He just turns it around, and like gets in the berm and like sucks. And I was like, what's going on here? And so he gets past, obviously, and this guy, Don Shaw from Minnesota, it's like huge upset. If you go to dirtondirt.com, I think the headline was Shocker. That was pretty interesting alliteration there. All right, well, D-Swap, hang around for us real quick. I'm going to bring you back on. We got to get to the football game here in a little bit. But let's bring on Ross Martin, Brian. He's called in.
Hello, hey. Ross, you there?
Yeah, hey.
Ross, this is Webb. Brian Grace also, he's my co-host. Congratulations on picking up the Ice Bowl win this past week.
I want to hear about this engine. First, before you even get to anything, tell me about it.
It's 4 years old, wore out, and when I took the lead on lap 31, I was waiting on it to blow any minute. I was scared to death and heard ever rattle in it, but it did its job.
Now, is this a crate 525, or is this special hyped up 525?
This is straight out of the crate from Neesmith Chevrolet 525. Never had a valve cover off of it. The only thing I've ever done to the motor is change oil once a month and put spark plugs in it once a year. And at the first of last year, I put a set of plug wires on it. The only thing I've ever done to it.
Now, Webb, if Neesmith or General Motors does not start paying us for all this promotion we're doing, we're just going to have to stop. We're going to have to quit.
I have to say this now. I wish they would pay me, but in their own way, they have paid me more than they'll ever know. I was on the verge of getting out of racing. I was spending so much money on engines and things, and in 4 years, I spent $35 a month on oil and filter. That's kept me racing. That's really what's kept me racing was GM and this 525 deal.
You guys won several races last year. You and your son won in a 525, right?
Yeah, he won 5 last year. We moved him up to late model out of the 604 crate series deal and all, and he really stepped up and did good. And there again, with the economy and our deal down here, that's the only way we could afford to move him up, you know, and he did great with it.
Now, I've been thinking about getting one of these motors, Ross, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, Webb, but I just got to find out about this thing. But what's it like? Because Jim Moon says that it's not exactly like having an open engine. I mean, does it have enough power to turn you in the corners?
I wouldn't be scared to line up against anybody with it. A little bit on the initial start now. So in yesterday's Ice Bowl, I started second row inside, and I fell back to fourth because they drag raced me off the corner on the initial start. They choked the motor down pretty low. But once I got my RPM up, you know, if you can hold your RPM up, you know, 4,500, 5,000 into the corner, that motor will come off the corner with anybody.
Well, here, you tell me this. I've got a pretty decent 350 that I run a 358 an SB2 that's out of an old ARCA car. You think that 525 is going to have more punch than that?
I've got a 415 SB2 that's been sitting here in the shop that I ran it up until I got my 525 motor, and I was over there struggling with it. I was spinning the tires on our track, you know, a slick little track. The 525 made a smooth driver out of me. You know, it's got just what you need. You know, I've never been underpowered with it, but I've never overpowered a racetrack either, if that makes any sense. Like I said, I wouldn't be scared to go to any racetrack in the country with it. Talladega Short Track, the track record is like a 13.8. I've been 13-12s with it. You know, just I can't see any. You know, I can't say nothing bad about the motor. There's nowhere I've ever been I felt like I needed a different motor.
Well, Webb, I need you to get a hold of somebody from Neesmith for me and tell them we need one of them motors.
Hey, I'm telling you, I've been trying to sell them to everybody that I race against at Talladega. I got a bunch of buddies that's like me, you know, they're on low-budget racing and all, and they'll build them an all-aluminum motor, and they try to build them themselves and go to machine shops, you know, and have their work done, and they'll race 3 or 4 weeks or a month or whatever, and they'll blow a motor. I'm 4 years into this one. I'm trying to get it out now. I'm scared to death of it, but 4 years on a $6,000 motor, you know, I can't say enough about it. I'm telling you.
Well, beyond that, Ross, beyond the fact that okay, it's durable, beyond the fact that it's like you said, $35 a month. When you guys get to the racetrack, I mean, is the track conditions? I mean, tell us about the race itself this weekend at the Ice Bowl. You guys had the pass to win the race, so I mean, it was giving you guys enough to win on. Talk about that feeling as far as being up against open motors.
Like I said, I never once during the race thought about my motor. I was worried about tire choices. The track took on rubber, and, you know, most people that races know a rubbered-up track's a fast racetrack, you know, and I took off in third, and I stumbled on the start and fell back to fourth, and luckily Ray Cook, you know, tried to stay with the outside for a lap through, and I got by him a little early, you know, and that built my confidence getting by him. I was really worried about him, but as the race went on, you know, we got faster, and I picked the right tire choice, or my son did. He put the tires on the car for me and all, and our tires just got better in the race. And like I said, never once I thought I was under-motored. I knew I had the right tires on, and halfway through the race, I knew we were sitting in the perfect place to win the race.
How many times have you tried to win the Ice Bowl?
I think this was Ice Bowl 21, and I can't remember one I've missed. I've been racing there at Talladega for 30 years, and I think I've tried every one of them.
Well, I remember talking to you. I interviewed you for Dirt on Dirt probably, 3 or 4 years ago when you guys finished third?
Yeah.
You were pretty stoked then. Talk us through Victory Lane. The pictures we're getting on Facebook just shows the whole family's involved. My buddy Stephen Butterworth was throwing water on people. Talk us through the last 2 or 3 laps, what was going through your head, knowing you might win the Ice Bowl.
My son wouldn't let me say nothing about it on Saturday. We was over at hot lapping, and I knew we had a good hot rod, and the car was good. And he said, "Daddy, you can't brag on winning hot laps." He said, "Just, we know you got a good car." He said, "But actions speak louder than words. You got to show it Sunday." And I think it's lap 31 when we passed Billy Oval Jr., I knew that I had a car that you just couldn't do no wrong in it. They had it set up and the tires and all. I told somebody, I believe Ray Charles could have drove it. And like I said, after I made that pass, for the lead, I knew that we had the race won. I hate to count it before the last lap, being won, but I just knew we had that good of a race car.
Well, who was the first person that got to your window there on the front stretch at Talladega?
My son, I've been giving him a hard time. He was wearing a yellow sweatshirt on and all, and when I went under the checkered flag, all I could see was yelling. I think he was more happier than I was. He's really been behind me and pushing me. I was kind of down on racing, and last few years, I was about ready to give up on it, and he's come up and he's done so good with it. He's really pushed my guys that helped me to step up our program. So that meant the world to me, winning it for him as much as anything.
Now, I read somewhere where you guys had mentioned maybe putting beer in the cup. Did that take place?
No, we never did, but it was Sunday. You can't buy beer in Alabama. That's the only reason why.
Well, you need to get a picture, make that happen.
That's right.
So what's the plans with? So you got this 4-year motor. You won the biggest race at Talladega, pretty much. I mean, what's the plans with the 4-year motor? I mean, you just gonna run it till it dies, or what?
No, I've been talking to Mike Bone, and he's wanting to send it back to GM and tear it down and inspect it, and look at the wire pattern on it and all. I told him I wasn't gonna freshen the motor just for the fact of what a new one costs. I mean, I can put a brand new one in my car for $6,200. For any used pieces, I used to spend that freshening the motor up. To me, it's worth it to put a $6,000 motor in, go another 4 years and not worry about it. But he said GM, engineers wanted to look at it and do the wire pattern and all, so I told him, I'd buy a new one, and I'm going to get this one freshened up. And I hear there may be a series coming out next year for the 525s, and me and my son's going to try to run that. So if I get this one freshened up, at least we'll have a spare motor sitting there, just in case.
Well, I figure Bill Martin's is probably chomping at the bit to get a hold of that motor. How many laps do you reckon you put on that thing in 4 years?
Someone asked me that. I don't keep up with laps anymore. On my open motors, I did because I had to freshen them. Yeah, I'll tell you, I think when Talladega Racetrack opens the gates, I have to be there. So I was at every race this year, every race for the past 4 years, every Saturday night. I've never sat down and tried to figure up the laps on it, but I've got a bunch on it.
Well, Ross, congratulations on picking up. I know you guys, the Martin family, has been out there a long time racing. You guys have won there several times, but to pick up the kind of the crown jewel that Talladega puts on, congratulations. And before we let you get out here, I want you to thank some of your sponsors and some of them team members that put that 525 up front and brought that Ice Bowl championship home.
Man, thank you very much. I had to first thank God for it. Without him, I couldn't have done it. But my mother and daddy and my son Adam, Jeff, Ricky, Ryan, the guys that helped me, I mean, they worked their butts off on this thing. But I had to thank Mike Vaughn and Nee Smith because, like I said, with the open motors, I had about spin out on them, and this deal here has kept me in racing. So I have to thank them for, helping me out with it, just for building me a motor that I can run for 4 years and I had to spend my life savings on.
All right, but another thing, too, before we let you go, who's going to win the ball game tonight, Alabama or Notre Dame?
Alabama Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I got to
right.
I'm having to watch the ball game, and he's a pretty good dude. He's from Illinois. He's a big race fan, and I'm having to watch the ball game with a Notre Dame fan tonight. Is that not the most terrible thing in the world?
Oh my goodness! Good luck to you. No, I have to say it. Good luck to him after the game. Don't give him too much of a hard time.
No, he's a good dude. We're gonna have a good time. We're just gonna have a few adult beverages and let the chips fall where they may.
That's right. That's like racing. You know, if we're not all in this for a good time and have fun, we might as well take up another sport. You know, it's all about fun.
That's right. Well, all right. Well, what's your guys' plans coming up for the season?
My son's looking forward to running this Cabin Fever at Boyd Speedway, so we're going to go up there with him and run that deal, and we're going to stay around Talladega unless we hear of a new series, and if there's a 525 series, we're going to try to follow it.
I think you can look forward to an announcement in the coming days. But, Ross, congratulations, and we'll catch up with you. I'm going to try to swing by the shop before Neesmith heads to Ocala, so I'm going to give you a call later. I want to come shoot some video with you, and we'll do some promo stuff considering your victory over the weekend.
Great. Thank you very much, and thanks for all our fans that support us in dirt racing.
Ross Martin, the 2013 Talladega Short Track Ice Bowl champion. We'll catch you down the road, Ross.
Thank you.
Very cool, very cool. We're just moving along here. We're still going to get to Brian. So the 525, and listen, if it works, right?
Well, I would think that's it. So I've been kicking it around. So I think I'm pretty well convinced that that's probably the route we're going, because I can't freshen these motors up that I got for that.
4 years, $35 a month. That's what he said that he spent on spark plugs and oil changes. I mean, wouldn't you just kill for that?
Oh. And I honestly, I don't think, as far as like from my standpoint where I'm at, I don't think I'm going to be at a loss for power. I mean, because we were still, the small engines. I got a decent ARCA motor that's an SB2, but it doesn't have that punch when you want to take off. It's got tons of horsepower, but no bottom end.
All right. So, well, let's keep moving along. Looks like we got Tim Fuller on the line here. Tim, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Tim Fuller, you guys put on a display this past weekend here at Central Arizona Speedway. What can you tell us about the Capital race cars over the weekend? You pick up the win, and then last night you guys were coming. Talk to us a little bit about the Capital race car and the speed you guys have found.
Well, the Capital car, is new. It just came out last spring, and Shane Clanton and Marshall Green designed it, and they wanted somebody else on board to help, get everything going. I mean, Shane, it's hard for one guy to do it on his own, and so they picked me up, and the thing's actually a rocket ship out here in Arizona anyway, and I just started with it at the end of August last year, so I only got a handful of races in it, but so far so good. You can attribute it to a lot of things. We come out here on a different shock package, and we got Clements Motors and stuff, and we got damn good sponsors and everything here, so it's all good.
Now, last night, you and Shane both were running well. Shane had a little bit of problem with the rear, and from what he told me, but you guys found something on the high side out here. Was that the game plan? Did Shane discover it, and you followed the lead on the second night?
Well, Shane he wasn't handling so well the first night, and he just got his car a little bit better for the second night. Being on this controlled tire, it's a totally different ball game, and you got to get the car to turn. So he actually got his car to turn very well in the heat race, after the heat race and everything. So he could turn a lot better, and that's the thing with running the top side. You've got to be able to turn up there. There's a very fine line up there, and he was good. And same deal with my car. You could make the top work on a restart, but once the tires got a little bit of heat in them, and the top got a little bit dirty and stuff, you had to get on that bottom again. But actually pretty versatile. The Capital cars are very versatile, and we're still working with them and changing this and that, and in shock packages, and that's the thing. It's the second night on this new shock package that we got. So far, so good.
Marshall's got to be, like, Marshall and Shane, too. Shane's got a lot invested in it, but Marshall and Shane have to be pleased with what they got last year out of it. And now to start the season, I mean, Shane was just as good as you guys last night. I mean, what does it mean to a team coming off last year? You guys had strong end of the season. What's it mean to come in and get a win in the second place off the bat? How does that help the morale back in Georgia?
Well, trust me, it's all positive. I mean, it's this racing, it's all peaks and valleys, and anytime you can be on the peak side of it, it's real good. And this has been a long time coming. I mean, Shane and Marshall have had a lot of thoughts about these cars, and to actually have it pan out and work as well as it does. Just very smart, these cars are. I mean, they're smart to the point to where you don't have to be a magician or a geometry major to figure these cars out. It's all very simple. And what they did was made the changes where they're very simple changes. A lot of us racers are pretty simple-minded, and we don't need to read into a whole bunch of stuff here. So, and we come out strong right now, and hopefully we can carry this to Tucson and into Georgia and Florida, for the start of the World Outlaw Circuit. That's what it's all about, is getting ready for your series. And, we come out here a long ways away, and if we can have good finishes out here and actually learn something, we're just going to be that much better off for the season.
Now, you have your start, I guess, would be in, like, the big block modifieds in the Northeast, correct?
Yes.
And what's the difference? I mean, I've seen the cars on television. A lot of the people who see the World Finals on Speed, and you guys come in there. What's the difference between the big block modified and the late model?
As far as driving or the car itself?
Yeah, I mean, car itself and driving. I mean, you're center as far as driving, you're center in the race car. So talk to us a little bit about the driving of the big block versus the late model, and then just the setups that are a big difference in setups.
Well, the driving, when they're both right, they drive a lot alike, except for when you're in rough condition. The late model's a lot stiffer and more rigid, simply because it's on coil springs and 4 rods, where the modified's on torsion bars and the rear coils on the front. It's just very cushiony and through the holes and bumps and ruts and everything. But you got a 467 big block in a modified. You got 430 small blocks in the late model. You got open tires in the late models, and you're on a control tire all the time in a big block modified. They do drive a lot different. The modified, you don't have all that body around you. You can probably put it into more narrow spots, and you got crash bars and real bumpers and stuff where there is a little bit more contact actually in a late model. A late model, when they're on, there's nothing more fun to drive. But in that same token, a modified, when you're winning, your car's right. They're just a pleasure to drive. So they've got their own characteristics. Each animal, the biggest thing is I would say in rough, heavy racetracks, the modifieds are just so much more cushiony because they've got torsion bars compared to the late models. You can knock your teeth out in them things. So, they're two totally different animals, and be able to drive both and both successfully, it makes me happy to be able to do that. And I still go back and forth a lot. So, and I'll do the same this year.
Where are those beasts born from? The modified, the big block modified. Where are they? The center? Are they almost like a sprint car late model hybrid? Where are they born from?
What are they born from? They were coupes. They were like 37 Ford coupes. I mean, they originated, way back in the day, and that's where they all come from, when they were coupe days. And that's where it all started right there. Where the late models evolved from, old Camaros and car frames and stuff. These come from like 37 Ford coupes and stuff like that. It was way before my time.
I think, Webb, the modifieds were probably the first. That was like your first level of race car back years ago. All over the South, they were all modifieds. If you look back through the history of stock car racing, I think it just kind of evolved from, it just kind of went one side up the coast and the other went out to the Midwest. So,
Right. It stuck more, the modified stuck more in the Northeast, and they never really did get out. You know, they tried, I mean, we still go to Florida for 4 races a year, but other than that, we never venture out of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Canada. That's pretty much the home base for those.
I think we lost our host, Webb Dillard, Tim.
Well, and he hung up on us.
Oh. Let's see. No, we got it. We got him back. See, he's all the way out west. You're back with us, Webb. And now he's gone again.
Yeah.
So he's out in Arizona still. I believe they're having a little party time out there and a little bit of trouble getting the calls to go through.
Well, that's what we're getting ready to do.
Right. You're back on, Webb.
Okay, I apologize for that. Tim, we are trying to do this thing. Usually we have a better system, but I'm out here in Arizona too, so we're doing this all by telephone. Tim,
well,
before
I
we
was
let
just
you get out here,
you guys are out there having a little bit of a party, and you just hit the wrong buttons.
No, the phone just dropped me. Well, Tim, before we let you get out of here, I want you to thank some of the sponsors. Thank your sponsors and also the fans.
Well, you know, John Kennedy, you know, he's the main guy. He's a car owner, and you know, we got Court Construction, and I mean, all those people on my car. I mean, they make this possible for me to come out here and do this, and you know, it's really good to be able to come out here in Phoenix and to Tucson and to be able to support all of our sponsors. You know, Urban Energy, and I mean, there's, you know, being new at this. I mean, I don't even know everybody that's involved, and there's still new people coming on. So, you know, everybody that come out to the races, hey, it's been a couple of cold nights, and appreciate them coming in.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your trip out here, and good luck. Come up Tucson this next weekend. You guys certainly will be fast up there, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one more question for you, Tim.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, I got a lot of friends up at the IMA show, and I got a couple people here was asking me, what's your how do you feel about midgets?
About racing a
midget? Yeah. Webb's wiping the sweat off of his forehead right now.
I don't know anything about that question. That's all on my co-host Brian, Tim. I apologize.
Hey, they said to ask Tim. They said ask Tim how he feels about midgets. That's all. So I'm asking him how he feels about. I don't know.
Love midgets, and I'll see you in Tucson.
See you in Tucson, Tim. Thank you.
All right, man. See ya.
Hey, all right, Webb, are you back?
I think I'm back. I don't know why my phone just keeps hanging up on itself. But I understand we have somebody in the queue.
Yeah, he says he's Webb Dillard.
He's Webb Dillard. Let's talk to Webb Dillard. Welcome to the show, Webb Dillard.
This isn't the real Webb Dillard.
It's the fake Webb Dillard.
This is Nick Saban.
Nick Saban, you're calling us live from Miami, I take it. Shouldn't you have a game you should be worried about?
I don't have anything to worry about. I just got one thing to say. Roll, Tide, roll.
Roll, Tide, roll. So Nick Saban is just called
Nick Saban is on a roll. Let me tell you, we were having a conversation, and all he could say was Webb Dillard and Roll Tide.
Well, Nick, tonight you have this Manti Te'o fellow. I mean, do you guys worry about one player, really?
Roll, Tide, roll.
Roll, Tide, roll. Do you endorse the killing of any trees?
The FCC. This is the FCC. It's going to be 7 in a row. Tell you what.
Are you going to the Cleveland Browns?
Never. I'll tell you what. Last year, I was at the Iron Bowl when they put a Scam Newton jersey on the statue of Bear Bryant. So I'll tell you what I did. Roll, Tide, roll.
Brian Gray, we've officially lost control of this show.
Hey, I know, but it's not technically just because of the guests. It's it's the whole thing. But hey, we have not stopped the whole time. I managed to get the Dirt Track Hero thing there.
That's right. Now, Nick Saban, there is an event out here in Tucson, Arizona. Would you like to endorse anything that happens in Tucson, Arizona next week?
I don't understand the question. There's only two things I like. Racing and SEC football. That's all I got to say about that.
The question is, Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness.
Keep it together.
Okay.
Keep it together. Keep it together.
I'm trying.
What?
We've been caller bombed. That's what we've been. So what is the what is the point threshold that you will reach tonight when you lift the foot off the throat of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
Well, that's going to be real simple. I mean, I think we're looking at a 27-3 ball game. And after that, I'll get ready for the Wild West shootout in Tucson, Arizona.
That's right. So you're going to make your way out here.
Of course. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. So you'll be in Tucson, Arizona at the Tucson International Raceway. You know, we're doing a 6-9 pay-per-view out here. Are you going to be? Are you going to be a? Oh, it's. I'm not. I'm actually not sure, Nick. I don't know how much. Suave. Tell me how much.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll pay it.
No, we want you to be a guest of Dirt on Dirt. Actually, we want you to sit in on the production and see if we got a good team or not.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I grew up with Michael Rigsby. He's a good man.
He's a good man. I love it.
Now, hey, what bar are you at, Nick?
What bar are you at? He's not at a bar. He's in the belly of the stadium in Miami.
Don't worry, I'm on my way to a bar. I can coach from there. It's gonna be so easy.
Well, you know, Bear Bryant was very fond of the whiskey and the tater chips from. I wish I remembered the company, but I don't. Well, all right,
so, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm pulling in. I hope you guys have a great broadcast, but let me just say one more thing. Roll Tide.
Nick Saban, everybody, roll Tide. Nick Saban, he's about ready to take the field. Let's bring back D-Suave back to the program. Come over here, D-Suave. You got to scoot over here, buddy. Let's go over here. We are, about 15 minutes away from kickoff. What do you think about Nick Saban calling in the program?
That's pretty legit. I know you got that many celebrities on the show. I mean, he's a great coach, but I don't think it's going to be his year. It's the year of the Irish, baby. Go Irish.
Okay, well, let's get back to racing real quick. We're only going to go another about 10 minutes because we got some things to get to. We got the championship game. But
Weber, are you guys are you holding your phone like sideways and you guys are like cheek to cheek?
No, I got a microphone plugged into the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was just picturing you guys in a motel room, sitting on the edge of a bed with an iPad in front of you, holding the phone, and each of you just sharing it, an intimate moment.
Actually, Brian, and I didn't want to bring this up. I didn't want to seem like a real big douche, but we're actually at a pretty cool house, and we're on the back porch, and there's like this nice little pool, a heated pool. It's really, life's real hard today. This is like the worst Monday ever.
But you know what? Wasn't there some talk of like somebody saying, "Hey, you guys on the East Coast, come out to the West Coast and get your ass whooped in that race," and Tim Fuller ended up stomping them.
There was some 4M banter about West Coast guys being better than the East Coast guys, and Tim Fuller proved them wrong the first night, and he ran out of laps. Did he not run out of laps last night?
He ran out of laps, but Shane Clayton had it in the bag. His rear end didn't go.
Shane Clayton. Now, real quick, before we get out here, I want to get D-Suave. D-Suave, I want you to talk to us about Fairbury American Legion Speedway, because they've added a super humongous show, and you guys already had a huge following out there, so tell my listeners a little bit about Fairbury.
Well, we call it God's country out there. It's a pretty good time. At the last weekend in July, a 2-day World of Outlaws show, $20,000 to win. Expect a huge and vocal crowd out there, all you Fairbury cronies. It's in Fairbury, Illinois, a.k.a. God's country once again. They've been trying to get a big race for the last couple of years, and finally we got it. So I think everybody will be out there. Good racing, good quality, great fans. The World of Outlaw guys will definitely enjoy it.
And you keep bugging me to come up there, and you don't have to bug me very much to go to any racetrack. But tell everybody, it's like almost a college football atmosphere at Fairbury.
Oh, yeah, they usually open the gates up 2 days before racing, and there'll be a full crowd, pack the place. I don't know, people like to drink beer there and have a good time, and afterwards the pits gets pretty rowdy with partying. Usually if you go to tracks across the country, they don't have this much dedication fans. I mean, there's some places that have good dedication, but Fairbury is basically the cream of the crop. Also, we need to bring Webb Diller. We need to start a fans fund. Bring Webb to Fairbury American Legion Speedway. So all you Fairbury people listening, we need to give a fans fund for Webb to get there. And also, Jeff Curl, you can make this happen, so let's get this going. And Kyle Ledford, you can make it happen too, so all my people back at home, make it happen.
Hey, I want to come.
Brian Gray wants to come.
Bring Brian Gray as well. We'll have a few fan funds.
We need to do it in the dirt from Fairbury. We need to do a special edition in the dirt at Fairbury during the two-night show. And I'm still mad at you, Kyle Ledford, for not coming to Arizona. I know you got this farming thing you're doing, you're feeding the world. Well, you suck because you're missing a hell of a time. And we hooped like hell today, and I would like to see if you got skills or not. Anyway, so Brian, we're going to we've run the gamut tonight. We're 10 minutes shy of going for an hour. We're gonna cut the show a little bit short tonight.
Are you that wasted?
I'm not wasted at all. But the game's fixing to come on.
Not even buzzed at all?
No, seriously not. I mean,
well, what time is it out there?
It is 10 minutes to 6 here, Arizona time.
Okay. So it's
what,
still
10
early.
minutes 8 there. Yeah, it's still early. Yeah, we hadn't had dinner yet. I got to turn the grill on. Sorry, I shouldn't have said grill.
Wow.
I know. I'm starting to sound like a real douche. I shouldn't do that. But
so what's coming up?
Tonight.
What's coming up for you?
Well, we'll be out here. We're going to stay out here this week. We're going to be the Tucson races start on Saturday. Actually, I'll be in Atlanta for the Neesmith banquet. So you guys, any Neesmith fans out there listening, if you're not at the banquet, I'll be able to put some stuff onto Dirt on Dirt, and you'll be able to see some of the speeches from the Neesmith banquet come Saturday. Well, I'll probably do it Sunday or Monday, but I'll be back out here for Tucson, finishing up with the Dirt on Dirt crew pay-per-view. You guys go to dirtondirt.com. We'll be able to show the modifieds. We were not allowed to show the modifieds this past weekend. There was some sanctioning involved that prevented us from showing the modifieds. But next weekend we will have a full slate of modifieds along with all the late model action from Tucson, which I'm actually excited to get back to Tucson. I hope I don't have another shot at Clanton in the wall. That was a tough hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. Hopefully he can redeem himself and get the W this week.
Don't forget a very important thing. When you get to the Neesmith banquet, tell Mike Vaughn that we need some 525s for the In the Dirt house car.
I would that would just be so cool to have the In the Dirt house car.
No, we've got it. It's done.
I mean, we do have it. We got it. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to almost forgot to mention, and as we're closing out the show, dude, Kyle May, he had the provisional. He won the qualifier to the Ice Bowl, the crate portion of the Ice Bowl back last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That dude passed 10 cars. He had to start 20th. He had to go through the B main. They told me he didn't race the B main. You couldn't take his provisional to get in, but he started 20th and he finished 10th, passed 10 cars. He passed the most cars in the Ice Bowl crate portion. So congratulations to Kyle May. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good little deal there, and especially at a track like Talladega in January is not like Talladega in July. January it's usually a little bit locked down, but from all accounts, I'm getting many accounts from different people that I know back home that there was all kinds of passing. So if you pass 10 cars, you're doing some work there. So congratulations to Kyle May, good finish in the OMG house car, and we'll have him. He'll be back on the show. He hasn't totally just left out the building on us, but he'll be back on. Before we get out of here, are you going to be watching the game tonight, Brian?
I guess I have no choice. I've got to keep up with what you guys got going on, so I got something to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just lost.
Okay, so Alabama is about a 10-point favorite. We need to get your prediction on record. So Alabama, Notre Dame, go.
I'm going to say, you want me to give you a score or what?
Yeah, just give me a score. And of course, who's going to win? I mean, obviously. I'm
going to say it's going to end up being 23-12, and Alabama wins.
We got a 23-12 Alabama win with Brian Gray. I'm going to say that it's going to be 24-17 Alabama. And D-Swab, who is a Notre Dame homer, but my bro, First of all, you're my bro. But Notre Dame homer, what do you say?
So the defense is going to hold Manny Te'o, and the defense is going to hold the Crimson Tide early. Everett Golson late drive to Tyler Eppert for a game-winning touchdown. Notre Dame 24-21. Place is going to be a madhouse in Miami tonight.
Well, there you have it. That's my boy D. Suave, Derek Kessinger. We have completed this show tonight. I apologize for the brief show. Brian?
Yes, sir.
I will get the Tucson guest for next week, and appreciate it if you would produce a show next week.
Oh, dude, I'm there.
Well, all right.
See, I have to. I was reliable. I made it.
Oh, dude, like I had no clue that you no inclination that you wouldn't make it.
Hey, I was really concerned for a second, Webb, but I did have the iPad. I could have started the show and let you call in. I just wouldn't have been able to talk.
Well, we have figured this out. We've done the show from Arizona. We've done it from Panama City. We've done it from Stone Mountain, Georgia. I guess there's nowhere we can't do it from, so we'll continue to bring this show every Monday night to the people. Thanks for joining us on In the Dirt. I'd like to thank Ross Martin, the 2013 champion of the Ice Bowl at Talladega Short Track. I'd like to thank Tim Fuller with Kinsey Motorsports. Him and Shane Clanton, Capital Race Cars are on fuego out here. They're a tremendous job. Looking for more out of them. Come Tucson next weekend. For Brian Gray, myself, roll Tide, and we'll talk to y'all next week.